Good morning, everyone. Happy Independence Day. As I was thinking about doing the communion thoughts, it kept on coming to me like, what do I say? What is going on in my life? What can help other people learn from what's going on? And during my prayer time, it came to me that it's like things aren't always going to be perfect, but we have to keep on going with our faith in God and just following Him, and knowing that we're going to be okay. So I'm going to read a little bit out of Psalm 119. And it says, "Your word is a lamp to my feet and a light to my path. I have sworn and confirmed that I will keep your righteous judgments. I am afflicted very much. Revive me, O Lord, according to your word. Accept, I pray, the freewill offerings of my mouth, O Lord, and teach me your judgments. My life is continually in my hand, yet I do not forget your law. The wicked have laid a snare for me, yet I have not strayed from your precepts. Your testimonies I have taken as a heritage forever, for they are the rejoicing of my heart. I have inclined my heart to perform your statutes forever to the very end." That's verses 105 through 112. And obviously no one's laying traps for me, but sometimes we go through some hard times right now, wherein David and I are in a place where we kind of don't know what the future holds, and we're scared, but at the same time we're faithful that if we follow God through this, that He's going to bring us through, and we're going to be okay. And so I pray that you all hold on to His word, to the Lord's word. You hold on to that faith. You hold on to the knowledge that you can get from His word, that's God inspired this book. And you just continue to pray to Him and have conversations with Him. And it's just, it lightens your heart. It really does. Because He does. He's there for us always. He's gonna forever be faithful. If you'll pray with me, I want to thank you again for listening. Lord, thank you so much for everyone. Thank you so much for your word and for its guidance to us, and shows us who you are. You're forever faithful. Your loving kindness never fails. And we appreciate you for this. Lord, we bless everyone that sees this weekend and for the rest of the week. In Jesus' name I pray. Amen. Goodbye.
All these pieces broken and scattered, in mercy gathered, mended and whole, empty-handed but not forsaken. I've been set free. I've been set free. Amazing grace, how sweet the sound yourself down, raising up the broken to life. You take our failures, you take our weakness, you set your treasure in jars of clay. So take this heart, Lord, I'll be your vessel, the world to see your life in me. Amazing grace, how sweet the sound that saved a wretch like me. I once was lost, but now I'm found, was blind, but now I see. Oh, I can see you now. Oh, I can see the love in your eyes, laying yourself down, raising up the broken to life. Amazing grace, how sweet the sound that saved a wretch like me. I once was lost, but now I'm found, was blind, but now I see. Oh, I can see you now. Oh, I can see the love in your eyes, laying yourself down, raising up the broken to life. Amazing grace, how sweet the sound that saved a wretch like me. I once was lost, but now I'm found, was blind, but now I see.
Hey everybody, welcome. I'm Caleb, and I'm really excited about this thing that we're doing today. We've got a couple of ministers here from New England, and what we wanted to do is have a roundtable discussion. During the pandemic, I heard a lot about how being collaborative was really important kind of in our new era, and I'm excited to do a collaborative thing, to be able to create kind of a sermon and conversation. And so we're really excited that you guys are watching, whatever church you're watching from. Hopefully this will go out a few places. Our second question that we want to talk about is, what are you optimistic about? I think Bruce put this one out as just a call for help, like what can we look at? We've had a rough year. We're trying not to talk too much about the pandemic. But I mean, that's kind of where that came from, right, Bruce? That as Christians, we need to find something to look forward to.
Yeah, and just to, before we explore the answer, if we explore the question a little, we need to, it is an imperative, a necessary for us to feel good about something. We need to have something to look forward to. Just like in counseling and psychology, you need to have things that you look forward to that gets you out of bed, that gets you going, that gets you hopeful, makes you work, makes you feel like your life is not in vain. And the gaps in ministry, the victories can be, weeks and months apart sometimes. Now, I think they're a lot closer than that. I think we're not doing a good job collecting a lot of those. But unless we're really diligent about feeling good or collecting things to help us feel good about things, we're really going to be stuck where we are. And so I think we definitely need to collect reasons for optimism and optimism defined as, it was a great sermon here yesterday, a season of refreshing for our churches, where we're heading into a new season of meeting new people, starting new things, seeing faith grow, seeing someone fall in love with Jesus, seeing someone read the Bible through their eyes again, and seeing the lights come on when they encounter the person of Jesus, in the way that it happened to all of us when we really started reading the Gospels and go, oh my goodness, and realizing like just the radical nature of grace, what it meant for us personally. Now that was great news because, I'm not, like all of us here, I am, as Bono said, I am very interested in grace. It's my only shot, and to think that that's true and real, and that gives me hope and joy for life. We got to start collecting those things, and because I think we have to look for some reasons for optimism.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, I think this is optimistic. When you talk about that, part of what I think about is I do think that the church as a whole, at least the American church, I think we're starting to change our scorecards a little bit. Mm. I think something that happened for a long time is people that lived in places like we live would talk about faithfulness and the importance of kind of like every soul and just the necessity of doing the hard work of connecting people to Jesus. And I think that some of our compatriots in other parts of the country, and maybe even people that support us financially, would be like, well, it was butts and seats and dollars in the collection plate are kind of the way they counted. And I think more missional churches were sometimes saying like, well, there's a lot more to good work than just those things. Mm-hmm. And I think the rest of the Christian world is starting to catch up a little bit to us as the postmodern shift, 21st century shift, new technology, post-Constantinianism, like whatever you want to say is this thing that's happened culturally to the church in the last 50 to 100 years. I think the church all around is starting to realize, oh no, we need to get smaller, we need to get nimbler, we need to be more focused and more targeted, and that a church that really connects with 50 people who are a different 50 people than any other church connects in is just as needed as a church that regathers 500, longtime Christians. Yeah. And I think that we've always kind of known that, but I just feel like the rest of the church world is starting to catch up a little bit with that thinking, and that's optimistic to me because then people start to value what we're doing instead of like patronizing us and patting us on the head for our little churches,
Yeah, and our churches don't have to look the same, right? Like we can, when you're small and nimble, you go, okay, what are our unique gifts? What are we able to do that's uniquely us? Or what skills do we have that we can use in God's kingdom? And it may not look like the church 15 miles away, right? Because their people are different and they have a different set of skills. So yeah, I think that move away from also this is what church is supposed to look like, right? And say, okay, who are we and what does our church look like and what can we do?
And I think to me it's little things. I mean, like for us, we have lots of kids, but we're still a small enough church. Like a full-blown kids ministry with 7 kids classes is not going to happen. Mm-hmm. But your child is going to have a personal connection with somebody in their 50s and 60s at this church. There's no way they can't. And I think that it's cool that we can just say that. Like, no, if you come here, you will not have the class options you'll have at the bigger church down the road. But we think our intergenerational connection is big, And so to me, that's a way that we process, and that's hopeful that we're getting to where that's okay, and we're not all measuring ourselves by the same standards,
I think, the word is innovation that I hear all the same. Just small allows for being nimble, it allows for being innovative, thinking about what solutions or how can I express and share the story of Jesus in this context, and some of the things that are limitations maybe to us, whether it's money or that sort of thing, actually become an advantage when you think of it that way. So like I like to tell it in story. We started a podcast. this last year. Part of that was because, to heat our building up another night for a Bible class, we couldn't afford that. But we could go to the bar down the street, have the podcast. They paid for the heat, and they gave us the tables. We had a place for people to meet socially distanced in the restaurant. We could make things better for them, and they could make things better for us. And so it was a win-win kind of experience for us, and we could invite our church folk that wanted to be a part of that. Hey, this is where our Bible class is going to meet, and this is what we're going to do. And that was born out of, we can't afford to heat the building, and we want to connect with people. So I think the things that limit us sometimes can become freeing.
Yeah.
We're not as limited as we think. It's kind of exciting. Like, you have to just figure out a new way to do an old thing, and you don't have to, like you said, you don't have to have 7 classes for 7 age groups of kids. You can have them pass the communion tray around and be a part of what happens in the experience, in the gathering experience, and share a drawing they made in the middle of your sermon, right? I mean, what are ways that we can engage multiple ages in a gathering that you don't have to think about in other contexts, that then become real meaningful for everybody there?
Yeah.
And I know that you probably don't want to hear this, but to me, the pandemic has been like that great reset button
Yeah.
of the way we did things paused. Like, we had to stop. And so now, as we're thinking of restarting, or as we're restarting, like, we can decide, like, we've had this moment of pause to go, okay, what's really important? Instead of just keep doing the same things that we had been doing over and over again, because that's how it's always been done. Right? Well, at least in my case, at my at my established church that's been doing the same thing for decades, right? Like, we can go, wait a minute, why do we do it this way? And could we think of another way to do it? So.
I mean, it's a little thing. Some of the people watching this, at least in our church, are probably watching this on the 4th of July. We have tried to have a 4th of July Sunday service, because every weekend, week out, you got to have a service. When I say it's been terribly attended, it is shocking how few people have been here on that week, because everybody's away on the 4th. Well, now they're watching online on YouTube, and I think this will be just as valuable spiritually to their content. And it just shook us up.
Right.
Like, it just said, yeah, no, you can try this. You can try something new. You can try video content. You can try internet stuff. I mean, I think that's cool. Part of the reason I'm a church planter is so that I can try weird new stuff.
Yeah.
And nobody can go, well, we don't do that here because we don't do anything here. We haven't been here long enough to have that attitude, So.
Well, you can also, because I do this a lot, you can also fail regularly.
Yeah.
And early on in ministry, like 25 years ago, I felt under the microscope all the time, and I don't think that changed for about 15, until I really came here, because I was failing every day here, and am failing every day here, and you just have to kind of get up and say, okay, that's a learning experience, and perhaps that's true everywhere, right? We fail, but in ministry, in other contexts, I felt the pressure to succeed at everything, and here you rarely succeed. But when you do, it's something really meaningful, right?
Yeah.
And it's okay to say, okay, well, that didn't work. It's really about the people you're with. It's not about some new thing to do.
Right. So when I think, all right, Bruce, why do you have to be optimistic? I originally posed the question hoping someone else other than me would have to give an answer. So, but I thought, there has to be an optimism in my faith, or it's not worth anything. And so I just thought of that line out of John 16 where Jesus says, "In me you have peace. In the world you have tribulation. but take heart, I've overcome the world.
Yeah.
And so that's kind of like one of those rocks. It's like, it's kind of one of those, like you're hanging onto the rope, but you need a knot to hang onto the rope. It's like one of the knots at the end of the rope, right? Like it
Yeah.
helps you hang on. So that's like one of those spiritual truths that just gives me hope, regardless of my mood or whatever. So you got to start there, at least I do. But secondly, I've actually, seen. There's a cool coffee shop just up on 46 here, but I'll stop at on the way home today, hopefully. That a friend of mine opened, and that has been last couple of 3 months. It's been kind of a thin space where I've had a lot of spiritual conversations with people, and nothing like gets my optimism, my juices going like that. Was a real spiritual conversation with someone who wants to know a little more about God today. And I'm thinking, okay, where are the outlets for that in this culture, in this world? I think it's us. Okay, that's good. Hopefully it's us, right? So that's not going anywhere. I mean, it's within the heart of every human to have that spiritual itch. Like they just know at the end of the day, it's either you lose the battle because you can't collect enough toys, or you lose the battle because you've collected so many toys. But either way, in life, you have a deep and eternal spiritual ache. And that's why we're here, for that moment, for that time. And I think that's increasing. I don't see that going away at all. I mean, my goodness. Because I think we're going to see the fallout of, my opinion, a lot of misspent political energy, lately. That it's Ecclesiastes, ends in vapor. Is there going to be a God that you can hold on to at the end of that? And so that gives me a lot of encouragement. And when I frequent those places, when I do those things, that really keeps me going. I'm optimistic. Like, I read an article this morning. Some paper, I don't know which one. Christopher Hitchens, about his conversion story late in life, about how he became a Christian right on his, late in life. I wasn't aware of that.
I don't think I was. That's Harvard.
Yeah.
Christopher Hitchens.
Yeah.
The
very famous atheist. And so, someone detailed that story, that actually they were at a funeral for someone, and they saw him singing at the funeral an old hymn that he should not have known or be robust about singing as an atheist. And it one thing led to another, and it's a really good story. But you just don't know. We just, God didn't give up on us. Why are we giving up on other people? And let's keep going. It's worth it. It is so worth it to know the great I am. And I just that keeps me optimistic. That keeps me going, because there's nothing better.
Can I riff off of that?
Yeah.
So the great experiment called secular Western society, I think that's coming. I think it's collapsing. I do. And I heard you saying, that this thin space, the optimism I have is beginning, to be a part of helping people discover spirituality is not part of your life. It's not like, here's my personal life and here's my work life and here's my spiritual life. It's everything we do. And we have bred into our culture that there are these parts of life, and that is so foreign to everything in the historical experience. People have always had spiritual questions, and that's been part of who we are. And so to be on the edge of a time in Western culture where that is just, it's falling apart, I love it. I love it. I love, having, quote, spiritual conversations in secular places, because it means, this experiment is done. It's done, and it's not winning, right? I mean, that's not a winning argument. I don't know that means Jesus. Everyone's convinced that Jesus is the answer in there, but we get to have those conversations in lots of places now that they didn't exist before.
Yeah. If the discussion was just Jesus among other gods, that'd be a
Right.
great conversation.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It is fascinating to me. What are you optimistic about? The entire intellectual edifice of Western culture is collapsing. That is what I am so pumped about. Finally. But no, I totally understand what you're saying. Yeah.
As Christians cheered as Rome burned.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm not cheering for that. That's not what I'm saying.
Right. But that's, we keep score a different way. Like the things that the world gets excited about seeing built and being built may not, we know it ain't going anywhere. It's coming down, and you don't take it with you. So you're talking about something that's going to endure.
Mm-hmm.
And that's where we get excited about things that endure. So that makes sense to me.
Kenneth, do you have thoughts about optimism?
In a different direction. I'm honestly optimistic about young people, really young people, and their drive for justice. That gives me a lot of hope that the world is not doomed. And just to see, maybe it's misplaced in some cases, but that there's a drive for justice, because I think God is about justice, and so that's encouraging to me and gives me a lot of hope.
Yeah. Yeah, it's been a really weird few years, on those things, and it certainly is, I think, a generational gap, right? And it's something I think we have to adapt to a degree as a church, because there was a sense where I think in the church we often talked about justice, and we're just like, oh, you guys are just such rule followers, you're so specific. I think we're in this weird place now where we're going to have to be smart about, for years, everyone was sort of like, yeah, just live and let live. And we're like, no, there's some standards in life. And now I think we're a little bit on the other side. We're like, guys, even really bad people, we have to provide some grace for, right? And so it's like a weird shift. I think we talked about this a little bit last week, right? That's there, but it's certainly for a God whose heart loves it when justice is done. It puts us in an interesting spot to finally say, yeah, there's right and wrong. I do think for a long time sin was really hard, talking to people that sin exists.
Right.
But now between, Harvey Weinstein or racial injustice or whatever, if you point to certainly systemic sin, people will go, oh no, that's real. The world is really broken. And if your starting point with people is how do we deal with a broken world, I think people accept the world is more broken than they would have maybe 20 years ago.
That doesn't have to be debated as much anymore, that there's something broken. And we need to fix it. And I'm kind of excited about that because, it seems like Christendom eventually at least gets on board at some point there. We may not be the first. I just think about how the early church was a game changer for children and women, and how that planted seeds that laid in the ground a long time, but hopefully are coming up a little stronger now, and that the early church was a game changer for the way different ethnicities was dealt with too, because of in Christ we're all the same, or we sit on the stand, we stand on level ground with each other. Mm-hmm. And so it would be really cool to me if the world figured out, where did this idea come from that all people should be able to stand on level ground with each other. If they figured out that Jesus was for that, I think it would be really cool. Mm-hmm. Kind of bums me out he doesn't get the credit for a lot of things he started. But I think that day's coming, and it doesn't matter if you get there from the front or the back side. Who cares, right? So, and the main thing is that the creations of God are honored. That's We all have the image of God in us.
Mm-hmm.
Every one of us with a radical thought. Covered up by a lot of stuff, but every one of us has an image of God in us. So.
Mm-hmm.
So Bruce, you feeling better about the world now?
Oh, yeah, thanks for the therapy session. What time we meet next week?
Yeah, exactly.
Why are you downcast, oh my soul? Why so disturbed within me? I can remember when you showed your face to me. As a deer pants for water, so my soul thirsts for you. And when I behold your glory, you so faithfully renew, like a bed of rest for my fainting flesh. I am satisfied in you. I have lost my appetite, and a flood is welling up behind my eyes. So I eat the tears I cry. And if that were not enough, they know just the words to cut and tear and prod when they ask me, where's your God? Why are you downcast, oh my soul? Why so disturbed within me? I can remember when you showed your face to me. As a deer pants for water, so my soul thirsts for you. And when I behold your glory, you so faithfully renew, like a bed of rest for my fainting flesh. I am satisfied in you. When I'm drowning out at sea, and your breakers and your waves crash down on me, I'll recall your safety scheme. You're the